his job to investigate these crimes thoroughly, to look for clues and to try and trace the offenders.
One of the problems of the growing community was that many people, like myself, who came up from England to work at the expanded factory, just used this town as a base from which to find a house of their own to buy in the surrounding area. And many of those people who we thought would have given a great deal of their service and leadership to the community just stayed for a few months or a year and then left. And this meant that we were really short of a good cross-section of leaders here. On the other hand, there were a large number of people who threw themselves very much wholeheartedly into the work of the local community here and really started organizations with very little official help or backing and just got them off the ground by their own effort. And these people have really made Linwood what it is today.
In 1971, St Conville's formed a parish council, and I was asked if I would organise suitable activities for the girls between the ages of 12 and 15 years. And a year later, a Mrs Morrison from the Police Community Involvement Branch called, more or less to see just what type of activities were taking place. She herself showed an interest in forming a majorette troupe.
I've been minister of Linwood Parish Church for only a few months, and I must honestly say that my first impressions of the place were certainly not favourable. We had difficulty in finding the church itself, and the houses here seem to be built rather haphazardly. A stranger to Linwood is immediately acquainted with the number of licensed premises and public houses, betting shops, but the complete lack of shopping facilities. Because of this lack of social amenities, the church here has to perform a social as well as a spiritual role. One good example of this is the preschool playgroup, which was started a few years ago in the church. This is open to children of any denomination in Linwood. 60 children are catered for each week, and in a sense all the youth organisations in Linwood are performing this same social service. Some of the organisations meet in the local schools because the church premises are not adequate. What I would like to see in Linwood is a proper balance of social facilities. For the sake of the people of Linwood, let's have the public baths, the sports centre that we've been promised, perhaps a few cafes for the young folk, instead of yet more betting shops and public houses.
Linwood Arts Centre is a local voluntary youth organisation formed some years ago by members of the community to provide an opportunity for children who are perhaps not attracted by the usual uniformed voluntary organisations and who are too young for the local youth clubs to pursue various interests such as drama, dancing, arts and crafts and so on. As a member of the local community council, I know that the Arts Centre, like most organisations in Linwood, could cater for a greater number of young people if more practical help was available from members of the community. These children, as in any growing community, are perhaps the most important section of the population, and they will be largely responsible for the future social growth and development of Linwood as the kind of community we all would like to live in. We hope their experiences and involvement here will help them to mature with some sense of community responsibility and enable them to take an active and effective part in community affairs.
Good morning, boys and girls. For our RE lesson this morning. We're going to start by singing the song When I Needed a Neighbour. After that, we'll continue talking about the work of Christian Aid as we did last week. Let's sing When I Needed a Neighbour.
Anyone who walks through Linwood can see the number of children that there are in this town. In fact, all the organisations have waiting lists. The problem arises during the long summer holidays. The organisations close down. Most of the recreation that is provided for children is not available at this time. The result is thousands of children on the streets of Linwood with nothing much to do. The Linwood Community Council proposed a place scheme for the summer to entertain the children for at least 3 weeks of the summer holidays. The Community Council made plans and approached the Education Authority. The result was that our local authority sponsored the scheme, paid for the leaders of it, and in fact the scheme was organised by the local youth leader for Linwood. The local authority provided buildings for the scheme and for the equipment necessary. But this wasn't enough. Local volunteer help had to be found. And this was forthcoming in fairly large numbers. The success of the scheme isn't only for the children. The mothers who came forward to help still meet. They formed a club, and with Rosetta Morrison, one of the policewomen from Linwood, they meet every Wednesday. We hope that this play scheme, which was started off as a pilot experiment, will be continued in future years and perhaps expanded to take in more children, because there are plenty of children in Linwood and not enough for them to do.
I'm a full-time community involvement officer along with Sergeant Alex Smith. Part of my duties is as president of the local women's club, which meets weekly in the Linwood Youth Centre. We have various activities there, including netball, keep fit, arts and crafts, and we also provide a creche for the women's children. As well as my involvement in community council work and with the ladies' club, Sergeant Smith and I, over the past 2 years, have built up a relationship with children who have gone off the straight and narrow.
My association with St Conville Amateur Boxing Club started out through meeting the secretary of the club, Willie Cosgrove, whom I knew beforehand. Now I find myself in the position of being president of the boxing club. My vice president is Father John Doherty from St Conville, together with Sergeant Smith, who is a member of the Committee of Management. The remaining members of the Committee of Management are made up of members of the Parish Council, who are mainly workers from Chrysler Factory.